Okay, welcome to episode 1 of Songwriting 101, my tongue-in-cheek series about songwriting, not a course about songwriting. That is me being a little bit silly. The first song that I'm going to show you is a song that I have just put out into the world with a lyric video on YouTube and Instagram and even TikTok. So this is a song I wrote, which I typically don't approach songwriting this way. Usually I will sit down and sort of explore, like with guitar or piano or even ukulele, find a chord progression or melody, and that will inspire some sort of lyrical idea. And that's how songs for me often occur organically, I should say. But this song was something that I approached wanting to write a song about taking, because I had the idea, the concept for this album, which was take and give. What happens when you take love? What happens when you give love? And this was going to be the title track of the take portion, and so I already had all of that built in. I did another thing that I don't often do, which is I sort of started the song with a riff, which was this. Oftentimes I'll just start with like a chord, like it might be just play the chords. So that might be how I typically will start writing a song, is just playing chords and singing to them. Sometimes maybe there's a little bit of a piano part or maybe a guitar riff, but I'm not that great of an instrumentalist, so I don't really start there often. But in this case, because I was being a little bit more, I don't want to say thoughtful, but I was approaching it more intellectually at first, I was able to come up with whatever the riff was. But as a talking point, which you can jump in on in the comments on this type of thing, like, how do you approach your songs? Do you start with a sort of like a mood, or, oh, I want it to be like this one, I wanted it to kind of be upbeat rock and roll, I think. Sometimes I'll be like, oh, I'll write a dirty bluesy thing, or this one's going to be rock and roll. Like sometimes I'll have almost the genre or the vibe or the mood or the style or the groove in my head ahead of time. So the first verse goes, say goodbye, you got your reasons to leave, and say goodbye, you got no love to believe in. Out the door before I come to my senses. Out the door for sure, 'cause what are your chances? Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. So that's basically verse 1. So I guess what I like to do at times is to, and what I employ in this song is to be repetitive in a lot of different places. So in this case, it's say goodbye, you got your reasons to leave. Say goodbye, you got no love to believe in. And I also did a little tricky rhyme there. Say goodbye, you got your reasons to leave, and say goodbye, you got no love to believe in. But I like the idea of going say goodbye, and then out the door before I come to my senses. Out the door for sure, because what are your chances? Those out the doors are also little fun, repetitive things. And then oh no is what I would argue would be a hook. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. There's an emotion with them, but they're also, I think, pretty catchy. Now, let's talk about narrative a little bit. In songs, I love when you can follow a narrative and when it kind of makes sense, and there is poetic license, and there's things that you can do which will obscure your meaning, your direct meaning, but I still like there to be some sort of a arc to the story or the narrative, and so that you can really understand it and you can follow along. And so in this case, of course, she's leaving because I haven't given her any love to believe in. She's leaving before I come to my senses and say, no, don't go. And of course, she's thinking, what are my chances? And what are her chances? Because when we get to the chorus, and did you ever love? No, you never did love her. Ooh, did you? And did you ever love? No, you never did love her. Ooh, did you? That's actually the pre-chorus. So the question, did you ever love? And the answer, no, you never did love her. It's in contrast, of course, to the, say goodbye, you got your reasons to leave it. And then, it's just, did you ever love? No, you never did love her. Ooh, did you? And also, this is confusing because I'm talking to her, say goodbye, you've got your reasons to leave. And then it's kind of like there's a voice in my head, my conscience, or just some other character saying, did you ever love? No, you never did love her. The way I think of it is the voice in my head. So the you has changed from hey, you're leaving, to did you even ever love her? So I don't know if that's confusing, but that may be one of those obscuring things, like what's he saying? Who's the who and who's the you? But it's kind of that self-reflection, kind of the punchline. It's just another love. It's just another love taken. It's just another love. It's just another love taken. I'm not good at thinking in terms of hooks. The way I approach songwriting and what I appreciate in a song, and maybe it's that they are hooks and somebody thought of them as hooks, but I like to think of them as impact. It's an emotional impact that I'm thinking about. I'm going, that is really pretty, oh. And that oh, is kind of mournful in my mind. No, you never did love her. Oh, did you? It's that's kind of what I'm thinking about. I don't know if going, oh, is a hook or not. I don't care that much. And then it's just another love. The idea there is we've got this kind of say goodbye, you got your reason to leave. And we've got this more staccato sort of moving verse, and then we open it up with, did you ever and did you ever love? No, you never did love us. To change that vibe, and then we want to hit the impact with it's just another love. It's just another love taken. Kind of I wanted to be a little bit more aggressive with that. You know what I mean? So hopefully I accomplished that. And even the delivery on that line, which is another interesting thing in songwriting to think about. If you're the singer, the songwriter and the singer, you can think about these things. You can present it differently or sing it differently and express it differently, and it has a different feeling to it, of course, obviously. But it's fun to think about those things, or just to have that in the back of your head, because I do that organically. Again, I think when I was writing this song, that's how it came out. That's the direction. I feel my way through the song, it's down a dark hallway, and that kind of stuff comes out, and I go, oh yeah, that's good. That works. So then we go into verse 2. I got the message that you've taken your life. I got the message that you've hid in the knife. I won't believe it that our love is behind you. I won't believe it, and I'm going to find you. And and then I add this extra thing. I'm left with nothing after all I have taken. I'm left with nothing, oh how was I mistaken, oh no. And then I do that oh no thing again. So again, I go, I got the message, I won't believe it, I'm left with nothing, And I also rhyme you with you, which I don't know. I think it's the behind you to find you, which makes me feel like I'm allowed to do that. I don't really like rhyming the same word with itself, but it's the behind and find. That's the real rhyme, guys. Don't get me, don't bother me about that. But to do like a rhyming, like two lines like verse 1, but then to add another one, that was to switch things up a bit, because we're expecting to go to an oh no section or some other section. But to add that extra couplet, I'm hoping that it builds tension in the production or in the delivery, the way you play it, all those things. You can dig into that one a bit more. So that also adds a dynamic to the song. So you can go, I'm left with nothing after all I have taken. You know, you can just hit that one harder. I'm left with nothing. And then to build, like we did with the band, build up, I'm left with nothing, oh how was I mistaken, oh no. So while you're writing, think about the performance of it, even if you're not the performer, and just consider what you can do to add moments like this. Because again, impact, moments, you want to have moments in your song. So this was a case where I wrote that in there. And I also wanted to deliver that idea. And I could analyze this even deeper to say, like, do I need to say everything I'm saying here? When we're talking about the narrative, she's leaving. We get that part of the story. Well, why? I never loved her anyway. It's just another love taken. This verse is a little bit, has more poetic license. It's not quite as clear. I got the message that you've taken your life. I got the message that you've hidden the knife. It's almost like it's over, and things are over, and but I still won't believe it. So it's almost that regret. I won't believe it. I'm going to find you. And then a realization, an epiphany. I'm left with nothing after all I have taken. I'm left with nothing. Oh, how was I mistaken? The mission statement, if you will, of the song. And then we go back into the chorus and you know, did you ever love? No, you never did love her. Did you? It's just another love. It's just another love taken. And then I go into this ending, which I'm calling the bridge here. But this whole section would be just considered an ending. So what I like to do oftentimes is completely like take not a left turn necessarily, but turn off of the beaten path that I've been beating into some new idea. This isn't entirely new as an idea. It's actually the same chord progression, but I do change keys. But it does a switch. And this also brings me to this concept. One time, for a month once, I had this idea that like everything was a joke. Not that like, oh, life's a joke, which it is, but everything was kind of like based on a joke, because I had been writing jokes, and I was like, oh my goodness, so everything is a setup and a punchline and then possibly a callback. Like all those things happen like in movies, good stories, and in songs. But if you think about a movie where it's like, well, everything's normal here. This is the setup. This is how things usually go. And then things change and there's a problem that presents itself. That might be your first punchline, who knows? And then they often give you a bit of information that down the line, they're going to call back to it. So that's like a joke. And also, you're going to reach the end of the movie. There better be a punchline to make it all worth it. That's satisfying, right? Where you go, what? And sometimes a twist, and then your punchline, you're like, what? That's a good movie and a good story. And I was like, oh, that's a joke. That's just a joke structure. But then I realized jokes are just stories. It's all story. So all of this is story. It's all narrative. So I like to do that in my songs. I've set up this idea, and this one doesn't really have a twist, but it kind of does, because it's like, hey, you're leaving. You don't have. What are your chances? You're going. Did I even ever love you? No, I didn't. It's just another love taken. Typical. But then I go, wait a second. This is done over. I get it. But I don't believe that. I think we could still have something. I think I want that back. I know I didn't even really love you, but I think I'm regretting this, because I'm left with nothing. I feel empty. How was I so mistaken? Oh no. And then we go over the chorus thing again. And then I give you the punchline, the thing that ties it up, and the twist, kind of this twist, or it's a new idea that I think deepens the emotional impact. And just because you take it doesn't mean that you keep it. B flat with an F bass. Just because you take it doesn't mean that you keep it. It's just another love. It's just another love taken. Oh, it's just another love. It's just another love taken. Oh. And then I go into just like a musical ending. Ooh. Oh, it's just another love. Yeah, so just the idea of just because you take love doesn't mean that you keep it, because that's kind of and that was the spirit, like that was going to bleed into the whole album. That's the theme, is the idea that if you give love, somehow it stays with you. You receive love as well, but it kind of grows, like love grows that way. But if you take love, it's so weird because you've taken it, but you don't get it either. Like it goes away. That's kind of hopefully the kick in the stomach, the punch in the throat, the emotional impact of this idea of the song. And then what I do musically here, because I've changed the key, I can sing it differently. I can deliver it differently. And that's something that you can also think about in your writing. What does my voice do, or what can a voice do in this key that it can't do in this other key? Because if I'm going, it's just another love, it's just another love taken. I'm kind of in this is area, and it doesn't have the same as if I go, it's just another love, it's just another love taken. Oh, I can be it's so much higher. I can be so much more dramatic with it. So that's why a key change there is necessary or impactful. And it doesn't have to be that obvious. I wanted to sing this part in a lower register, the bridge, because it's kind of like the wise one. Like this is the wisdom. The guy, it's all sort of his voice throughout it, but there are different emotions behind it. This is the guy that's saying, you know what? I got news for you. Just because you take it doesn't mean that you keep it. And that's also, I found a nice transition from the main part of the song. Anyway, that's basically the song. I hope that some of those ideas help. Thanks for joining me. If you find this interesting, you can subscribe to my YouTube. You can follow me on Instagram and even on TikTok. And let me know in the comments, like the thing. Because I don't know if this is good for anyone or if it's just me just talking to myself. But so please leave a comment, join the conversation. If I said anything in this video that you're like, oh, I don't know about that, or you go, wow, that's interesting, or I had that question earlier on in the video, let me know what you're thinking. And I'll be back with another one of these next week.